Hello, brothers and sisters. It's kind of bringing into the simplicity of what's happened over 6,000 years. And really, there's three different categories. You've got the origin phase, you got the law phase, and then you've got the Christ phase. And we know where God is, we know where man is, we know where Satan is. So during the original time frame, where do we know spirituality was? Well, from Genesis, we know God declared righteousness to Noah in terms of defining how many people know me. His whole principle was recognition that God created everything. During this time frame, it was the goal for man to understand purpose. But also in this time frame, the satanic deception, the polytheistic version of the world, was pagan and new age. So these guys were levitating and focusing on self and doing everything underneath that ideology. That was the origin. A majority of everybody went to Satan. God had to destroy the world. Hence, Noah was the only person under the understanding who recognized God. Now, we have to go back into the next position of everything else. So first you have the origin, then you have the law, and then you have Christ, which is love. But let's go to the law. The law is very simple. What happened in terms of that testing time frame? For the Satanists, it was polytheism. It was the Roman guards, it was whoever took over. That was who was leading the order. Very simple. What was our goal during this time frame? To figure out order. What was God's goal in this time frame? So we'd recognize Christ. So again, look at the goals. Satan. I went from polytheistic, everybody can do what they want. Everybody has to worship polytheistic gods. Man has to understand order. And for God, it's God has to recognize me. God has to recognize my son. Now let's move into the period we're in now, which is the period of Christ. So with the period of Christ, let's go back to the bottom chart. You got Satan. You got the monotheistic view, which would support Muslim and Islam, which is a moon god. Or polytheism, which is the New World Order and the pagan religions of past. It's the self versus the false god. That are the two legs of Daniel. For man, our goal is to understand salvation. For God, his goal is salvation. You see, we're now in line with God. After the rapture, which I do believe is an event that takes Christ believers to God, and it's done. We're not coming back. We're done. What's left on earth? You've got two orders. You've got monotheism, Muslim and Islam, and you got the New World Order and the pagan religions. So what's going to happen? Underneath the, the Muslim ideology, they're taking the opposite of what God said, that there's going to be a false Messiah and everything else. That's what Satan wants. Satan wanted to be like God. So if you're following this, Satan's probably going to take care of you. Under the NWO pagan religion, you're probably screwed. Because technically, you help build an ideology that you are going to be destroyed by. And unfortunately, to describe it in a chart, and I'll just say the chart, when confusion hits over here, the people would be confused. The people of God will be the tribulation saints. The people of Satan, it isn't necessarily going to be these NWO pagans. This is what I've always been trying to tell you. The New World Order people think that if you adhere to a sense of ethics and a sense of transcendentalism, that apparently you'll be saved. But there's nothing to save you. The only thing to save you is yourself. And you are probably fucking as dirty as any of us. So, let's go into the nasty time frame that's going to be happening. When this confusion hits, Muslim Islam, they've got 2 billion plus followers. And you take out the Christians, you know what's going to happen? It's going to be a war. In the U.S. in particular, because I'm from the U.S., you're going to have the people who want every ideology that they believe in to be the overriding ideology. And unfortunately, that's not the case. In the mixing pot, what ends up happening is black people sit with black people and white people sit with white people. It is what it is. But the NWO pagan religion of getting everybody together isn't going to work. Now, Islam, on the other hand, they are united. And they will take over. They want their Mahdi, they'll fight through fire. Which means that the monotheistic religion, which would be Satan's true religion, is going to come to power. Which means that Satan can be like God in the other realm. Now the NWO pagan types, and this comes to everybody who's looking for the Catholic Church and everybody else to do it, it ain't gonna work. It just won't work. The problem is you can't keep yourself together because your foundations are all mixed. And when you have a foundation of clay versus iron, here's what's going to happen. The clay is going to break. So the NWO pagan religion is going to break. And the iron religion, which would be Muslims and Islamic followers, is going to take over. And as much as none of us want to admit it, that's what happens. Again, you had a linear path that split into 2 legs. Are you on the side of iron or iron and clay? I can't choose for you. There's a very simple path. One leads to salvation. One leads to destruction. If I'm expecting 70 virgins and everything else, and my prophet is somebody who basically has sex with an 11-year-old, or I believe everything is me over everything else, which is what the NWO pagan religions believe, there's no salvation here. There's no salvation. To the Father and the Son, thank you for making the plan clear. I love you. Please hope that other people will find this to be of value. For me, I'm ready to sign out. I've got nothing more. Amen.